day, and welcome once again to another viewing of this assembly. I am your servant of Yahweh Soya, and today we're going to pick up where we left off in Bere'Shiyth chapter 4 verse 24. This is going to be a quick wrap up of this chapter. It's only 3 verses left. Then we'll go to chapter 5, and chapter 5 is something that goes a little bit out of my area of revelation, if you will. So I'm just going to sort of skim through chapter 5, and I recommend, if you really want to go into generations and genealogies, there is a teacher by the name of Dr. Stephen Pidgeon. You can find him on Cepher.net, that's CEPHER.net, and other places. His own by his name as well on Google search, and he does some great genealogy studies. So if you're into that, which I am, but like I said, it is really deep, so I'll leave that to quote unquote the professionals. So let's get started. Father, thank you for bringing us here together to get into your word and understand many of the things that have been lost throughout the years, throughout the centuries. Let us hear it, feel it, witness it, then do it. In the name of your son, Yahushua HaMashiach, Amen. Chapter 4 of Bere'Shiyth, verse 24. We're coming off of verse 23, where Lamech is telling his women, his harem, that he killed somebody and he was hurt. Poor him. And we're going to verse 24. If Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold. So Lamech, he's kind of like his relative Cain, and he is fearing reprisals from someone who goes unmentioned. Maybe he has some enemies out there, we don't know, but nonetheless, in his fear, he's saying, well, Cain was said to be under the protection, if you will, of Yahweh, and if something would happen, he would be avenged. So Lamech obviously thought himself to be greater than Cain, so he would be avenged much stronger. Now it sounds as though Lamech is proud of himself. Seems he is placing either his value or his killing above Cain and or his killing. In any event, sounds rather boastful. Then too, was he attempting to place fear in his women? He killed a man. He could kill them. And lastly, while he seems to be looking for some kind of protection or vengeance in his name, he is never mentioned as speaking with Yahweh about this incident or his future as a result of it, as did his relative Cain. Is this the start of an epidemic, a rash of murders? Will other such events go largely unmentioned? At this point, it seems as though man's appetite for blood and lust is growing, and is growing pretty quickly. For the same man who was the first to mention with more than one woman is the second mention to take a life. Verse 25, and Adam knew at his woman again. That's a strange place to pick that up. You're talking about Lamech and him having 2 wives and now killing a man and, sort of seeming to boast about it, to go back to Adam and him knowing, having relations with his woman, Hua, once again. And Adam knew at his woman again, and she bore a son, and called at his name Sheth. For Elohim, said she, has appointed me another seed instead of Havel, whom Cain slew. This verse raises an interesting question. Were the sons of Cain taking their sisters, cousins, or aunts? There were no other women mentioned, since there are no other people. Sheth is the third son born to Adam and Kua. How many daughters did they have? So, after sort of talking about Lamech, Moshe goes back to Adam and Kua. This is probably the order in which he was given these words, since he wasn't there. And we go from sort of, let's say, a tragedy to now there's hope once again with Adam and Kua giving birth to another son. Verse 26, and to Sheth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enosh. Then began men to call upon the name of Yahweh. Then began men to call upon the name of Yahweh. For those who think that Yahweh's name, Yahuwah, his name was not known, there you go. They did not call upon the title, this substitution that has been placed in the quote-unquote Holy Bible. They didn't call that. They called his name. All right? All right. Now, before now, men were not calling upon the name of Yahweh. That is, men as a whole. There were some people who knew his name, spoke with him, and talked to him by his name, but as a whole, they were calling his name for whatever reason. This is the first mention of anyone calling Yahweh by his name. So, when was his name forgotten amongst man? And these were some good days, despite some unfavorable experiences. I just like to put that in there. Every day is a good day. Don't let that go unsaid, either by me or by yourself. And let me say this. I mentioned before that the only people Cain would have to be concerned about were his family, parents and sisters at the time. Later, he would have other family members, at least one more brother, some sisters, nephews and nieces, cousins, etc. The same is true of Lamech. Lamech killed a family member. They were all related. Perhaps that was the emphasis of this chapter. Family fighting family. They had no choice but to take a family member to partner with and make a family. But their infighting was so bad that they were killing their own family members. And Lamech took 2 family members, 2 women, to be his women and have children. This was all about the most dysfunctional family ever. Us. You thought I was going to say them. No, this is about us. We are just one big dysfunctional family. We're family fighting family. It doesn't matter what your hue is, man, or should I say dusty man or dusty old soul, old living soul. You dusty old soul, you're fighting your own family. All right? Everywhere you look, it's your family. I don't care if it's stringy hair, kinky hair, whatever, straight hair. It's all your family. Remember that. No matter how distant. You say, well, that's my blood. They're all your blood. We're all his blood. That's Yahweh's blood. All right, going over to chapter 5. Like I said, this is going to go pretty quick. I'm not a genealogist. I don't do DNA research and dispersion amongst people groups, so I'm not going to go into all of that. I am going to talk about a few verses, and right now we're going to talk about Bere'Shiyth 5, verse 1. This is the Sefer of the generations of Adam. In the day that Elohim created man, in the likeness of Elohim, made he him. There were 2 different events, creation and making. Now I believe that in creation, Elohim decided on how and what man would be. They decided that man would be like them in appearance and in their traits, morals, ethics, values, etc., their image. more specifically, Yahweh Elohim decided that man would make, or should I say would be made, exactly to model both his image and his likeness. As I said before, that's to say that while he agreed with the overall plan, he tweaked it and said, we're gonna have man, but man is gonna be like me and in my image. All right. Verse 2, male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam, in the day when they were created. All right. First made, Adam was more than himself, for out of him will come every man there would ever be. That is why their name was called Adam. I think also when Kua was made, she too was acknowledged as Adam, and was his and came from him. He didn't bring her out of him, but she did come from him. She was not equal to him. It's not fair. But that's how it is. She was not equal to him. She came from him. And she was made for him. Not property, but she was made for him. Verse 3, and Adam lived 130 years and begot a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called his name Sheth. Not Seth, Sheth. This accounting discounts both Cain and his brother, whom he murdered, Havel. Why is that? And how old was Adam when Cain and Havel was born? I like to know that one. Sound like he was like 1 or 2. I don't know. But did it take such a long time for them to bear another son? And in that time, how many daughters did they produce? Why is it stated that Adam begot a son in his own likeness and image? Is that to say that Yahweh had no longer taken responsibility for how we turn out? Or has man ruined himself to the point that Yahweh removed his likeness and man removed his image? He removed Yahweh's image from our DNA. It is sort of like Yahweh said, I wash my hands of you. Since you no longer have my image, with your lustful, selfish, and disobedient behavior, you can no longer have my likeness. Particularly, you can no longer have my likeness. Now, you look like your new father, or fathers. Lest we forget that these accounts were given to Moshe by Elohim, so he must have had some emotion in telling him these events. He specifically and purposefully shared these events with him. Later on, coming up real soon, we're going to see just how much man has devolved from the image, from the ideas and morals and ethics, if you will, of Yahweh, and taking on something completely opposite of him. So we're going to stop right here, and we're going to pick it up next time at verse 4 in chapter 5, which we're going to zoom through. Actually, we're not going to pick it up at verse 4. We're going to pick it up at verse 5 because I didn't really do anything with verse 4. So we're going to pick it up at verse 5 and just skip right through it. And we're going to head over to chapter 6 where now things are really heating up. I am your servant of Yahweh Soya, and I'll see you next time. Enjoy this. Good day.